So I thought it was a good idea to film in a snowstorm, but might regret this later. I think some of you might be happy with the title of the video. That yes, I find feminism mostly terrible. But unfortunately, I think some of you will be pissed off to know that I've also benefited from feminism, in a way. So, if that pisses you off, I'm sorry. You know, the men that think that women should just be child-bearing machines in the kitchen, taking care of the kids all day, every day, doing the hardest job on the planet while not getting paid, being slaves to men. Yeah, well, some of us aren't interested in doing that. Just letting you know. So yes, the first and the second wave of feminism benefited women like me. And I would argue all women, because who wants to be a slave to anybody? You know, think of yourself as a man and think to yourself, do you want to be a slave to somebody? Technically, we are all slave to the system, but a literal slave, like you can talk to your slave owner. Does anyone want to be a slave? Man, woman, child? No. And women are no different. We don't want to be slaves to men. We don't want to be slaves to a patriarchy, right? Feminism, wave 1 and wave 2, benefited women because now we can drive, we can make our own decisions, we have the option to choose whether we want to get married instead of, you know, having literally no option. Because if, you know, way back when, if you didn't get married as a woman, first of all, you were shamed, you were called a spinster, and kind of ostracized from society, number one. Number two, you didn't have any rights, you know? You couldn't go to school, you couldn't vote, you couldn't drive, you couldn't make your own money. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think there were some ways women could do that, but not enough money to live on your own like we have the option to do today. Like for me, I am a lesbian who lives on her own, who has no interest in getting married to a man or a woman. I have no interest in living with anybody. I'm incredibly independent. I make my own money. I do everything myself. I live very far away from my family, so I do everything myself. No help from mommy or daddy or any type of man. Just everything on my own. And that's how I like it. I like it that way. So yes, I have benefited from feminism in a way. All women have, because now we have the choice on whether we get married to a man, whether we have children, because not everybody wants to get married, not everybody wants to even be in a relationship, not everybody wants to have children. That's not a dream that everybody has. I know it's hard to believe for some of you out there, but believe it, baby. Because it's fucking true. The last thing I ever want to do is have kids. I'm incredibly happy with my life now. You know, let alone, I do have goals, I do have dreams, but if I never achieved those goals or dreams, I'm incredibly happy with where I'm at now. I live in the present moment, and I don't need a child to make me feel like I have a purpose in this life. I already feel like I do. So in saying that, welcome to Treu Sovereignty, where we are mastering our minds so we can reclaim our peace. On this channel, if you subscribe, you will be joining a community, not just a YouTube channel, a community of like-minded thinkers that I'm building. And hopefully I can build it out further somehow to actually make a community. But right now, I'm a tad small. This channel kind of embodies critical thinking and self-improvement intertwined, because I believe you can't really have one without the other. You must know thyself in order to understand other things. So that's kind of what this channel is about. If you join me here by subscribing, I will be incredibly honored. You get to see me suffer in snowstorms, walk around in these beautiful nature scenes that I absolutely love, even if my fingers are freezing off. And I'll talk to you about my critical thoughts that are very unique from a woman's perspective. And I'll give you some life improvement advice here and there. So feel free to join me on my journey here. The snow is kind of turning into rain here, so hopefully it doesn't get that bad. Might need to pause the video and film another time, but let's give it our best shot. So, how has feminism gone wrong? Mostly because I do believe feminism is mostly terrible. Probably about 60% terrible. I think feminism's gone too far, and the first reason is sexual liberation has turned into absolute degeneracy. I think the sexual liberation movement from the 60s has gone way too far, further than we could have ever imagined it going. You know, it's turned into something incredibly different than I think what they meant it to be, which was women have the right to choose to have sex or not have sex, or do whatever they want without being shamed, without being told that they're sluts, or, you know, how men are kind of viewed as kings if they sleep with tons of women while women are just viewed as like sluts. I think that's what it was about. It was like women wanted equality in terms of how they were perceived in a sexual way. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's great. But I think it's gone way too far. The pendulum has swung over a little too much. Woo! We got literal ice falling from the sky. It's not snow, it's ice. Okay, I love this saying. I think life was better when it was harder to see boobies. I think that's actually true. I think OF, OnlyFans, is legalized prostitution now and normalized porn. It's even more so normalized porn, which I don't think is healthy for men or women to watch. Just look at the Bonnie Blue situation. You know, she's free to go sleep with these barely legal boys and thousands of men all in one sitting, and it's televised. I mean, what happened, people? Like, what happened? This is like total degeneracy. And not even mentioning the fact that every pretty girl that you see on Instagram, you go to their Instagram page and they're like, yep, I have one in their bio. And you know that it's pointing to their OnlyFans. It's like, OnlyFans is like a horny social media. It's like, I think it's disgusting. I think that, you know, I think a country just recently banned OnlyFans, and I think USA should follow suit. Every other country should follow suit. I believe it was China, but I'm not 100% sure. But I think OnlyFans should definitely be banned, and corn should not be as easy to obtain. I think it's obvious that corn destroys men's brains, and possibly women's brains, but I think men watch it more. It's caused this like runaway train effect of corn, where you can just get it anywhere and everywhere. The industry is huge. I mean, it's been huge for decades, but I think it's definitely become more popularized, especially with OnlyFans. OnlyFans is corn. Like, let's be real. It's corn and possibly prostitution. I don't know about you, but, you know, I'm not against sex at all, but I'm against the degeneracy that sex has now become. We've turned sex into something so normalized. You can get it anywhere, anytime. We almost don't even care about it anymore. It's no longer like a sacred way to share intimacy with a partner. Now it's just this nasty, like, all right, let's get it done. You know, it's not sacred. It's being treated like a commodity, being treated like entertainment, being treated like a consumer product. It's no longer sacred in the minds of anybody anymore, and I think that's actually really damaging. It's damaging in our personal romantic relationships. It's damaging to children because children can watch it. It's easy to watch from anybody, and it's damaging our minds and how we view sex and what sex should be and our expectations of it as well. Dating apps are now a breeding ground for hookup culture. They're no longer a way to find deep connection. Everybody's just superficial and nobody cares about deep connections anymore. They just want to get laid. It makes me not even want to enter the dating apps anymore. You know, I'm a lesbian. It's not just men and women that are having this issue. It's women as well. Women are also just looking for hookups because the dating apps make it seem like there's just so many choices, so many options. And then it's like, well, I don't really like you, but we could just have sex if you want. You know, you could be my placeholder. And it's like, you're not that special. You don't have as many options as you think you do. Sorry. Number 2, it's normal for women to hate men now. It's normalized. You see it all the time on the internet or even in person talking to women. They put men down in front of everybody like it's totally a normal thing. Like men have no feelings, like men deserve it. And I honestly think the men hating shit is old, outdated, and disgusting. It's like, okay, if you make little jokes about men and women, okay, fine, we could do that. You know, there's plenty to make fun of the sexes, right? But if it's something that you do on the regular and you're like man-hating, but yet you still go out and date men, that's really weird. It's very, very strange. I've even had a couple women comment on my last couple videos about men and women's toxicity saying, well, I actually don't think we need men, and I actually don't like men. And I was like, wow, great, cool. You're outing yourself as a big red flag. Good job. Men can't win. They're too masculine, they're too feminine, they're not enough, they're too much. No matter what men do, they can't win. You know, masculinity is toxic, but I don't want to date a man that's not masculine and protective. What do you want from men? Women want chivalry, but they also destroyed chivalry. And to me, it's wild that they don't see that. You wanted equality, but you still want men to pay for everything. I don't get that anymore. It's like, I don't want a job and I hate men, but I'm still gonna take their money and their resources. But I also want equality. It's like, what do you want? It's like they're contradicting themselves time and time again with this shit. It's kind of annoying, honestly. Even to me, a damn lesbian. Women have impossible standards for men. They want men to make 6 figures, they want the 6-pack of abs, and they want the 6'4" guy. Do you realize how rare that is? Do you realize that? That's like 1% of men, if even. And on top of that, what makes you think that that man would even want you? Are you the perfect depiction of a woman? Are you kind? Are you patient? Are you not entitled? Are you grateful? Are you appreciative? Are you gonna bend over backwards for him? Like, what are you gonna offer him? That man has, you know, millions of options. And I know women also have millions of options, but who says that that man wants you? I just don't understand women's logic and their impossible standards. And even if a woman's standards are not the 6'6", 6'4", 6-pack of abs and 6'5", and 6 figures, typically women still have these crazy standards. You know, and then on top of that, they're not doing any of the inner work themselves. They're not trying to be a good partner. They're only looking for the right partner. And again, that's like a complete lack of self-awareness, immaturity, and entitlement. Women seem to like get the ick so easily from men. Like, men can't even brush their hair a certain way, or put pants on a certain way, or walk a certain way, or jog a certain way without a woman getting the ick. It's like, oh, he did that way too femininely. I can't date him anymore because he held his hairbrush like this. Men are not as picky as women. I think that's so true. And I actually feel bad for men because yes, I date women, but women don't treat me like I'm a man, because I'm not. But I will say this, the women who do get treated like men are the women who look like men. So studs, butch women, the more masculine looking women, they will get treated like men by women. And that kind of sucks for them. Women know not to do this shit with women because we just won't stand for it. Sorry, women know not to do this with women who look like women because we just won't stand for it. No women will. Not even the stud or the butch or the more masculine looking woman. No woman will stand for this, which is funny. Women won't take other women's shit. Women aren't quite as desperate for sex as men are. No offense, men. But women don't really care about sex as much as men do. So women aren't gonna put up with other women. That's the funny part. But still, unfortunately, the butches, the studs, they do get the typical male treatment, unfortunately. Buy me dinner, buy me drinks, open my door. And it's like, that's great. If you're a man and you want to do that, if you want to do the chivalry shit, that's great, fine and dandy. But if you're a woman and you expect that to be done, I think that's a red flag. And if it's not done, you're like totally done with the date. You don't even want to like get to know the man. I think that's a red flag. You should run from women like that, absolutely. I think is this number 3? Number 3, it's caused a huge rift between the sexes. Something called MGTOW. I'm sure you're familiar, men going their own way. It's created this totally other movement against feminism, obviously, MGTOW. Now, MGTOW contains, now I'm not saying all MGTOWs are like this, but I do not like MGTOW because I think MGTOW men generalize women, all women. You know, even a woman like me, if a MGTOW or an incel, or something of that nature, even sees a woman like me who kind of agrees with them, they don't like me either way. They don't like me. Why? Because I have a vagina and tits. That's it. And they just paint all women as these horrible leeches. I'm not saying all MGTOWs do this, but a lot of them do. And I've seen it. And I tend to stay away from MGTOWs. I don't like feminism, and I don't like MGTOW. So that's a big thing for me. I think that the creation of MGTOW is not a good thing. I think these men are very closed-minded about women. They're very, kind of understandably resentful of women because of how they've been treated in their past by women through these very common stereotypes of women. So I can understand, right? But I always say judge from person to person. Never judge an entire group of people. I think it's idiotic. I think it's dangerous. And ultimately, it will just ostracize you from society because obviously you're pushing women away as a MGTOW, right? That's the point. But then you're also pushing some men away because some men don't agree with that. And just because a man doesn't agree with a MGTOW doesn't make him a simp or, some sort of lost soldier. He just hasn't really had those bad experiences with women like you did. And unfortunately, it will kind of make men also kind of be like, eek, that guy has problems. Because me, even as a woman who can stand here and say, hey, women are toxic too, feminism's pretty terrible. I'm not a woman-hating woman. I'm not a disgruntled lesbian. I still love women. I think women are amazing. But I'm here to point out the discrepancies that we tend to just let slide with women. And that's why I'm here. And I would never be like a woman going my own way, lesbian going her own way, ligtow. I'm not gonna be a ligtow, okay? I don't believe in that. I will definitely probably find a partner someday, a woman. I don't want to get married, but, if she's the one for me, she also will be happy with being a more independent, being in a more independent relationship, right? So that's my take on MGTOW. I think this is one of the most popular critiques of feminism and the reason why it's bad. Number 4, they've destroyed the family system. Feminism has kind of created a lot of single moms, right? And with the single mom, not all single moms, but a lot of single moms will kind of become this man-hating entity. So the audio here is about to get pretty bad because my audio equipment died because of the cold. But where I left off was the daughters of single mothers, if the single mother is a man-hating person, she will essentially become a hyper-independent, aggressive type of a woman to a fault. And the sons of single mothers will become soft, kind of like forever children, pretty much. Maybe very attached to mommy with a mother wound. And that's kind of how that goes sometimes. Not all single moms, but it's a pattern. But I'm not leaving men out of this. Like, men also are not stepping up. I think men are having trouble accepting that women are now able to just do whatever they want and be independent. You know, we grew up watching these movies where men were the breadwinners and women took care of the children. And I think that's kind of what men expected as they grew up. And women, a lot of women, have decided they just don't want to do that. And I think a lot of men are kind of resentful and angry of that. Maybe they thought they'd get a more submissive, controllable woman. And instead, she's maybe a little bit more outspoken, a little bit more independent, a little bit more aggressive than they had wished. And I think they're having a hard time adapting with this kind of new way that women have become. And unfortunately, I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I think women are going to continue to stay independent and want to be on their own, because once you get a taste of freedom, there is no going back. We have a different way of seeing partnership now, and that's just how it is. Instead of the man being the lead and the woman being the follower, now we want equal partnership, best friends, friendship, a team. That's what we are now, like a power couple kind of dynamic. And a lot of men are having trouble accepting it. And that might be why men are leaving women, because the women just aren't bending the knee anymore. And other reasons as well. Maybe women are a little too aggressive, not emotionally mature enough, not in control of their emotions. You know, with great power comes great responsibility, and when you gain freedom, you also gain responsibility. And that's not only responsibility of yourself, but responsibility of how you treat others and how you deal with daily life. And unfortunately, women were not raised to deal with life like men were. Most men, at least, or how men should be raised. Women were kind of raised as you will rely on a man when you grow up. And that's just how it's gonna be. So, with great power comes great responsibility, and women weren't prepared to hold this type of responsibility. Not every woman, but a lot of women. I don't think the nuclear family is the answer. I think the nuclear family was developed in the 30s, 40s, 50s, you know? I think what needs to return is a tribal family or family compounds. Because like they say, it takes a village to raise a child, and I think they're absolutely correct. I think we need to bring back villages of people who come together. You know, if we had family compounds, people would stop being so lonely. People would stop just simply relying on two single parents. I don't even think two single parents that are actually together, not divorced, but together. I don't even think it's fair that they have to raise their children on their own. Even if grandma and grandpa come by every now and then, I still think it's too much. It's too much stress, especially if they both have full-time jobs, which is unfortunately the way things have to be now. You know, both parents, married or not, they need to both have jobs to make income to be able to survive. And that's the unfortunate truth. But if we had family compounds or tribes or whatever you'd want to call it, you'd have aunts, uncles, cousins, friends, distant cousins, whatever, grandparents, all coming together. We'd rely on the government less. We'd be less lonely. We'd have more connection. We could keep everything the way it is. We could keep social media. We could keep the internet. We could keep everything that kind of sucks. But having these family compounds where we can all come together and help each other and help cooking, cleaning, taking care of children, I think that would be so wonderful. I mean, look, I'm a very introverted, independent person, but if I could have my own little space in a family compound where I'm just on my own chilling, and then I could decide to come out and interact whenever I wanted and help if I had responsibilities and things like that, I'd be open to that, honestly. And like I said, I am open to having a partner. And I would love a partner with a big family too. I'm not against people and families. You know, we could all make food, grow food, make items. We'd be less consumeristic. We'd be more productive. We'd be more in the production area. Because we could trade and barter instead of having to work so hard. We could actually change over to part-time work because we wouldn't have to necessarily buy groceries all the time, because we'd be living on a compound where people are growing their food, raising cows, maybe pigs, things like that. And God, I just think life would be so much better like that. And especially now, since we have electricity, life with electricity is so much easier. Why can't we go back to like the 1800s where we lived in these family compound small villages, but now we have electricity? Why didn't we just keep it like that? I don't understand. It's weird. We just went way too much to the other side, where now we're just like way too independent, way too separated from each other. Okay, the last point, number 5. Feminism is supposed to protect women, but it doesn't. It doesn't protect women. Women have been so distracted actually trying to get more rights than men and trying to be a protected class that they have totally lost the plot and actually began to invite men into the movement, saying trans women are women. Letting these trans women who are men into the locker rooms, into our sports. They've let men now invade our spaces. And if you don't agree, if you vehemently disagree, then you're a TERF, a trans exclusionary radical feminist. Weird. And not only that, but I don't believe that these trans women who want to push their way into women's spaces at the expense of women's comfortability, I think these trans women are not trans women. They are men with autogynephilia, which is a kink where a man looks at himself in the mirror and gets turned on by himself appearing as a woman. So I think that they are just living out their kink in public, and we're just being like, yeah, trans women are women. The reality of it is just another form of degeneracy that's being normalized, that trans women are men, whether it's an actual trans woman or it's a cross-dressing autogynephilia person. Either way, feminism is supposed to protect women, and I actually think at this point it's gone so far. Women are way too distracted that now they've actually let the enemy in on a Trojan horse. But men aren't the enemy. I'm not saying men are the enemy. But feminism was supposed to protect women from men, in a way, right? is supposed to kind of separate us, where men weren't controlling women anymore. But now I feel like it's a totally different form of patriarchy, where it's like now men are infiltrating our spaces, whether we like it or not. And if we don't like it, then we are ostracized and told that we are evil. Just another way that the woke agenda is a cancer. And now they're trying to go after children as well. I mean, it's just sick stuff, man. And I think feminism really dropped the ball on that one. There's some feminists out there who are trying to stand against it. Like, what's her name? J.K. Rowling. She was a huge, actually annoying feminist, right? Back in the day. And now all she talks about is how trans women are men and they're trying to infiltrate our spaces. Which, props to her. Props to her. And props to any woman who stands up and says the truth, pretty much. So I do think this whole feminism shit is part of the elite agenda. I think feminism wave 1 and 2 were fine, they were perfect. We didn't need a wave 3. We didn't need all that shit. And now we've just gone way too far off the deep end. And I think that was part of the agenda of the elitists. Just another way to control us. And I think, honestly, both men and women fell for it. Not just women. I think men and women have fallen for it. And, you know, we don't need all this, like, equality shouting. I don't know who on this planet, I don't know who in the country, in first world countries, doesn't have rights right now. Who? What group of people? I don't know. We don't need all this equality bullshit anymore. We have enough of it. Everybody's equal now. Yay! But people just can't put an end to the shit, right? So at the end of the day, what can we do to move away from this? And honestly, you know, this video is not going to be some sort of a grand solution, but all we can do is try to understand the sexes. Women, try to understand men. Men, try to understand women. And then you take accountability for yourself and try to improve yourself every day. Let's stop listening to the status quo. Stop listening to these cult leaders who claim to have our best interests in mind, but they don't. They don't. We need to come together. This is not a time to be separate from each other. We are on the precipice of what one of my recent videos talked about. We are on the precipice of being entirely controlled by our government. So we need to unite. This is a time to unite, not a time to yell at each other and tell each other that we're idiots. It's a time to unite. Now, yes, did I call liberals idiots in another video? Yes, because there's just some people you can't talk to, okay? And I understand that. There's just some people that wouldn't recognize the answer or a solution if it hit them on the fucking head. So, are there some people you just gotta leave behind? Yeah, maybe. But ultimately, at the end of the day, try to unite with like-minded people. Join my community. If you like this content, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate having you guys here. And I hope you appreciate me coming out in a snowstorm. And now in the fucking dark. With my fingers burning off. Because it's so fucking cold. And my audio equipment dying. You better appreciate that. Just kidding. So until next time, I will see you in the next video.